So my next question for you is something which is very common, at least in the Western Hemisphere. It is stress management. Everywhere you go now, even for medical conferences, there is this new thing about stress management. What I learned from you yesterday and reading is that you say that stress is our own creation. Since we create it, that is where the focus should be rather than the management. Can you explain that to me?
I must tell you this.
Depth?
Many years ago when I first came to United States, wherever I went, people were talking about stress management.
Yes.
I couldn't understand this. Because in my understanding, we manage things which are precious to us.
Right.
Our family, our wealth, our business, our money. Why would anybody want to manage stress is something I could not understand. It's after a little bit of observation I understood, people have concluded that stress is a part of their life.
Right, right.
Stress is not about your life, the activity of your life, it's not about your work, it's not about your family or relationships or whatever.
Right.
Stress is just your inability to manage your own body and your mind.
Right.
You don't know how to keep your body,
Right.
you don't know how to keep your mind. That's all that's happening. So that's happening, as I said, you have not read the user's manual. Such a sophisticated gadget, you don't have the user's manual when you do everything accidentally.
Well, we have Gray's Anatomy, but that doesn't teach us how to manage stress, right?
I don't know what Mr. Gray said, but I think he knows the anatomy
Right.
only by looking into the dead body.
Right. I find it amazing that all the education we have, this is such an important part of learning as a physician, yet we are not taught that.
Because you did not go through a health course, you went through medicine.
That is true. So tell me, as physicians, how, I'm part of this Indian Medical Association of New England, American Physicians. Tell us, how can we as physicians partner with Isha Foundation or with all your teachings so that we can learn and pass on that education to our patients?
So there are two dimensions to what we do. There is a certain aspect of yoga which is generally referred to as Upa-yoga. Upa-yoga means sub-yoga or useful processes.
Okay.
Yoga means there is a spiritual element in it. Upa-yoga is largely physiological and psychological benefit. If physicians want to transmit it as a part of their profession, they must do only Upa-yoga.
Okay.
If they try to transmit what we are referring to as yoga, one thing is, it'll not work as a profession because you have to become that.
Right.
It's not something that you learn and you teach somebody, it's never going to work like that. You must transmit it. Transmission is different from teaching. Upa-yoga you can teach, yoga you cannot teach, you have to transmit. This is why in the Isha system, when somebody wants to teach in an engineering program, for example, they have to hold it above their life. Not as a profession, not as a hobby, not something that they do on the side. It must be more important than their life, only then we allow them to teach. They're fully dedicated people right there, volunteers, that they're not paid for it, because it's very, very important to hold that as a part of your being and transmit it. But Upa-yoga can be taught by the physicians or by paramedics or whoever is around, because that will be useful and that is purely physiological and psychological benefits, and it'll do wonders.
So I want to ask you about some specific management of some things or treatment or your advice in some things which are very close to my heart. How do we overcome fear in life? It could be fear of… My biggest fear is losing people I love. more than death,
You will
more
anyway
than
lose
health.
them one day.
I know, but it's just
Either they will go or you will go. Which do you want?
I want to go.
Really?
Yes, honestly, it's a very. That is how big my fear is. That I would rather go myself than face the loss of my loved ones. I lost my parents 2 years ago, and I'm still stuck in that zone of that, that mourning that loss. So, and there are a lot of people like me, who are physicians who cannot heal themselves, or they're people in ordinary lives who have fear of death, who have different kind of fears and phobias. How do you advise that we overcome that?
Let us look at this in a very fundamental way.
Mm-hmm.
Please look at this. What is it that you're afraid of?
Mm-hmm.
You're always afraid of what will happen.
Right,
That means you're afraid of what is yet to happen.
right,
That means you're afraid of that which has not happened.
right,
Yes?
right.
You're afraid of something that does not exist.
Mm-hmm.
If you're afraid of something that does not exist,
Mm-hmm.
you're a physician, you're not a psychiatrist, but you know.
Right, right.
This is a clear
Right.
qualification.
Right.
Because you're suffering that which does not exist.
But sometimes you actually have gone through the suffering also.
All
Some
right,
of
I'll come to
your-
that, I'll come
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah,
But essentially fear means you're suffering something that does not exist.
but there is a possibility of
Possibility is there, yes.
that. Right.
Possibility is
Yes.
there. But you're afraid, you're suffering something which is not yet.
Mm-hmm.
You're suffering something which does not exist in principle, yes? But the possibility is there, you say.
Right.
So you're imagining things that may happen, or in other words, you're suffering something that happened 2 years ago.
Right.
That means you're suffering your memory.
Right.
You're suffering tomorrow, that means you're suffering imagination.
Mm-hmm.
So what this means is, two most valuable faculties that a human being has,
Mm-hmm.
which is unique to a human being. No other creature is capable of as much
Mm-hmm.
memory and imagination as we are capable of.
True.
But you are suffering those faculties which set you apart as a human being.
Mm-hmm. True.
So shall we take away those faculties?
No. But there should be ways to overcome that.
No, we will come to that.
Right.
See, you're talking about overcoming. You can only overcome what is there, but you are suffering what is not there.
Mm-hmm.
How to overcome that which is not there?
Mm-hmm.
What happened 2 years ago, is it there right now?
No.
No.
But the
What may
memories
happen?
are-
What may happen day after tomorrow, is it there right now?
No.
No. So when you're suffering something that does not exist, how to overcome?
Mm-hmm.
If you overcome something that does not exist, you're really lost.
Mm-hmm.
So don't try to overcome. You just have to do some discipline within yourself. The yogic system has enormous amount of processes for this, systems and methods. See, what this essentially means is, you have a complicated machinery here, all right? You don't have the tools. You don't have the
Okay.
keypad to type what you
Okay.
want. All kinds of things are going on the screen all the time. If you could clearly hold your memory separately,
Right.
your imagination separately, and your present experience of life separately, you could access it when you want, when you don't want. You can leave it. Right now it's all mixed up.
Right.
Nothing has been done about it. Nothing has been done about it.
So what is the first step that you should be doing?
If you're willing to give yourself 30 hours of focused time, we will give you a vehicle with which you can turn inward. This is the inner engineering program, 30 hours.
Okay.
It is formatted in different ways, 1 weekend, 7 days, 7 evenings, in many ways we format it.
Right.
3 days, 4 days, 2 days, many ways. But essentially what we need is 30 to 32 hours of absolutely focused time. That means we will give you an experiential vehicle with which you can turn inward. Once you can turn inward, once you are consciously able to turn inward, when I say inward, not dissection, not contemplation,
Right, right.
beyond
right,
body
right.
and mind, if
Right.
you can turn inward, then I don't have to tell you, you will fix it.